ultimate ye old map, in my opinion. This is truly
the oldest map.
Yes.
All right, here we go, guys. And at the upper right part of Steps of War, we have our purple Zerg player, or should we call him Violet? And in the lower left part of the map, Steps of War, we have our blue Protoss player from the team. It's Gosu. It is WBC. You know he's got to have a plan for this map.
Oh, my God.
This is such a difficult map for Zerg. Oh, man. The ledge outside the natural.
Yes! Finally
what?
pooling. I've been waiting for it.
Yes.
I've been waiting for it.
All right, if you're going to do it on this map, this is the map to do it on. That sentence not making sense.
Well, I wanted to give some overall stats for our two players here. As,
Do it.
Yes, Violet is 8 pooling. These guys have never matched up head-to-head in any professional tournament yet. Want to be cool, though, is 35 and 27 overall in pro play and has a 64% win percentage against Zerg players, and I do believe that is his best matchup. So,
it actually is, yeah.
Yeah, so there we have it. Violet, though, of course, has been destroying nerds lately. And actually, kind of interesting, his best map against Protoss players is Terminus. It's kind of interesting to note.
Interesting. And Want to Be Cool's best map against Zerg players is Shattered Temple. So maybe we'll see him pick Lost Temple one of these times. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
and
we
doing
have
the Forge again.
Forge against an 8 pool.
Interesting. So he's going to need to put up a cannon right away. This might be a little bit rough for WBC, but whenever you have an early pool like this on this map, you're going to need to defend with your drones anyway, with your probes, and that is not a wall-off. So WBC needs to put down at least one more pylon, and if he does, he's going to be perfectly safe. But does he know? He knows it's an early pool, so...
Yeah, let's take a look at this vision. He saw exactly how far along it was being constructed.
It's a cannon, and now we're going to see a pylon, possibly...
Wow.
Maybe not. If he doesn't put a pylon down, I will actually be very surprised. He needs to put a pylon down.
In
WBC.
Case you don't know WBC, this walk distance is pretty short.
Put a pylon down. There we go. Okay, so now that is a complete wall off. The Zerglings are not going to be able to get in.
Right.
And, they're not going to be able to really break through this as well. So it looks like for now WBC will be safe. It's going to take a little bit of damage on this gateway, maybe.
Yep.
Nope, not even that. Not even killing off the shields. There we go.
All right. Well, we'll see how WBC wants to follow this up, as he is just producing his first Zealot now. And look at that. Violet in expansion on Steps of War. I love it.
This is actually very smart by Violet to do this early pool. Even though he didn't do any damage, it's actually so smart because he can prevent the probe from being out there building cannons outside his natural expansion. That's the real point of this early pool. It's to keep himself safe, let himself get that expansion. So Violet really showing a good awareness about what the safest thing to do is on a map like this.
And Violet actually ducked back in, only lost one more Zergling, and caused another 25 minerals in lost mining time, essentially, I guess, by the probing up at the front and having to cancel yet another pylon. So, Violet really playing this well. The third Zealot is about to hit, though, from WBC.
You know, a lot of early Zealot pressure was very, very popular back in the day. I mean, again, I watched a lot of those old matches from the HDH Invitational, man, and so many Protoss players were just making a ton of Zealots and sending them right over, just going like this. Forge Gateway, a lot of Zealots. So if WBC decides to do that, it's going to be kind of tough for Violet to defend. And here we go. Yeah, sending those 3 Zealots right out.
Oh, he was a bit supply blocked, though, unfortunately. So gets over it now, but and our first sentry is, of course, coming up for the time being.
He doesn't need it right away, so that's fine. And these 3 Zealots could do a little bit of damage.
Let's see here.
Violet's going to need to control Zerglings and Queens quite well, because right now he does not have enough Zerglings and Queens to actually handle 3 Zealots. And, he's going right after the Spine Crawler immediately. Trying not to get surrounded by the Zerglings. Nice Zealot control, but it looks like it's just not going to be quite enough.
No, unfortunately not. The last of the Zealots is going to go down. Nice job not losing any of the Queens, especially. Didn't even use all of his Zerglings as well. Had a few in store off to the right.
Yep, although WBC making Violet produce a lot of not drones right now, which is the real benefit of doing something like this.
And the olds map continues now as Violet tries to poke in one more time and does get caught by its sentry and photon cannon.
He's going to try to one-gate expand here. That is bold, actually, on this map. I know that Zerg needs to play defensive and everything like that, but it's also so close for Protoss, too. So, interesting choice by WBC, not wanting to cheese or anything like that, wanting to play as much of a straight-up game as I suppose you can play on Steps of War. That's going to be an interesting game.
That's right, guys. So we've kind of introduced the maps the first time that we've played on each of them because, well, that's what we're doing. These maps may not be seen by some newer fans of StarCraft 2. They were old standbys.
That's right.
The map famous for Idra drone rushing on this one and then apologizing because he hates the map. But as you can see, you have your main pretty decent size and a normal ramp, but the real kicker here is your natural. So it can be sieged up underneath the low ground here. It can be dropped very easily because there's so much airspace around the sides. But more importantly, check out this walk distance here. So this is the edge of your natural, and you're at your opponent's base.
Yep, that's right. It's that fast.
Yeah.
It's actually so close.
Yeah,
it's
it
so
really
funny.
is.
So here's the thing, is in the past, some people have tried to do Hydras on the low ground outside the Protoss Natural. Maybe that could happen here. Not this game, though. viOLet going for Roaches instead and getting his upgrades up and running. This is so funny because back in the day, getting a third base this fast would have just been absolutely unheard of.
Suicide.
On a map like this. Yeah, it would have been complete suicide, but you can still see some of the greediness that players are using these days kind of coming through even on a map like this. So I think we might see a little bit of a 4-gate push here from WBC, too. Just try to put a little bit of pressure on his opponent.
+1 weapons about to finish up here in a bit. And
yeah.
viOLet actually turning this into a pretty standard game. He's got 2 gas. He's got a Roach Horn. He's got +1 weapons.
Yep.
He's got, a third base on the way as well. He'll be able to move into very, very fast Roach production here in a bit.
Yep, spreading his creep as well. That's one nice advantage of the small map is he's going to get his creep across it very, very quickly. viOLet, of course, does usually have good creep spread.
Very much so.
Yep, want to be cool, scouting around here. Those Xel'Naga towers are always not the most useful on this map.
That is
look out,
very
Ursa
true.
Deck.
The Ursa Deck calf, daughter of Ursa Deck /name/unit female to, I don't even know. I've forgotten it now.
All right, so viOLet's got a couple roaches. He's got some lings. He's got more roaches on the way here. And how much will WBC decide to really push this here? This is just meant to be a pressure. This isn't like an all-in or anything like that. He just wants to see if he can get in there and do damage. So if he can, he will. If not, I think we're going to see him go home fairly quickly here. And that is not enough units at all for viOLet to handle this, though.
But WBC is starting to concede that unit advantage, though, as viOLet, he's going to move into huge production soon. It's not enough now, and WBC picks a pretty good time to move in, but is he going to have enough? He throws down the Guardian Shield, reinforcing with a couple of units, but now that production is really starting to kick in for viOLet. Tons of Roaches and Zerglings coming out.
WBC, too, just looking so hesitant, I got to say, in his attacks. I mean, he could have pushed in. He could have started kind of taking the units piecemeal as they came out. But as it is now, I think viOLet's in a pretty decent position here. Still not quite enough. He has to be careful, though. There's still a lot of force fields in those sentries.
That's very true, but we have another 16 Zerglings going to join the 16 on the field, and 32 Zerglings, 14 Roaches. That is a formidable force, especially against just the 7 Stalkers, 7 Sentries, 4 Zealots for WBC.
Yep, and yeah, just like kind of we were talking about WBC deciding to just kind of leave the pressure at that, going for his third base here. The only problem is that, look at this, the Zergling showing us you can get right into the third base area on this map. No problem. He scouts the Nexus without any issue at all.
Yeah, and it looks like, unfortunately, this... oh, no, Probe, he's going to get back home because there was a bunch of units in tow now. But look at this. viOLet just starting to macro like mad. He's got Burrow, Roach speed, additional drones coming up, but he's going to be saturated on 3 bases very soon with a monster amount of forces.
Yep, and how are the force fields going to be for WBC? Keeping a lot of the Roaches back here. And the Zerglings, they do get a good surface area surround on those units.
Yes, they do. Guardian Shield goes down, but it's not going to protect against that many Roaches, all things considered. Just more energy now finally starting to affect, but,
actually, those force fields pretty good, helping out WBC quite a bit here. He does have to cancel the Nexus.
Yep.
But he holds this off quite convincingly, in fact. Now, not too far off in supply. Oh, yeah, that does help a lot. Oh, and the Burrow.
Yep. Womp womp.
No observer out yet for WBC, I believe. Just making one now.
Let's see now for viOLet, as he is on 70 drones, so he's at about that part where he can start massing units.
Yep.
And Baneling Nest coming up in addition to Pneumatized Carapace and Ventral Sacs. Very cool decision on this map, especially just given, how easy it is to use those drops.
Yeah, exactly. I mean... the thing is that Baneling drops on this map are so good because your opponent doesn't have as much room to maneuver. If you can get in there right above the sentries, right above the Zealots, and drop off those Banelings, you can really, really quickly turn the tide. And even Stalkers, if they're clumped up, Banelings don't do too badly against them. If you just run the Banelings in, it's not the greatest. But if the Stalkers are really tightly clumped, then they can do okay.
All right, let's see here now. 90 supply to 115. Still just at +1 weapons with +1 armor, just about to finish up for WBC. viOLet actually taking the gold base down here at the bottom of the map. Yep. So that's let's just look how close that is to his opponent's base. You can see them both at the same time.
Used to be something we saw all the time here.
Yeah.
And look at that creep spread, too. viOLet going right up to his opponent's front door.
Yep. Well, it only takes about 4 tumors to get there.
Yes,
but it is steps
true.
of war.
It's not very far at all. All right, drops are done for viOLet. We can start loading up banelings, and that is a lot of banelings being made by Empire viOLet. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, let's see here. Exactly how many banelings is that? That is 33 at the moment. +1 melee attack's going to finish up here in about 55 seconds.
This reminds me of like what Moonglade was doing back in like the GSL days when he was in Korea. He was doing a lot of baneling drops and stuff like that against Protoss, or even like Fruit Dealer doing baneling drops back in the day.
Yeah.
His was more against Terran, but it's the same.
Well, that's true.
Upgrade.
Yeah. The same general idea there.
Oh, here we go. I don't know if WBC is going to be expecting this. Oh, the force fields weren't the best. Yes, force field, another line here.
Yeah,
again, letting a lot of these through. Oh, the banelings.
Banelings are all dropping down at the moment. Just a handful of stalkers remaining.
No.
Oh, they're getting devastated by everything on top. There are still banelings remaining. There's
wow,
the GG.
Well played.